Today I will be talking about the Sami people of Norway and Finland. I will be talking about some brief history of the Sami people, the Sami parliament and politics, different linguistics of the Sami people, geographical locations, reindeer rights of the Norway Sami, Sami boarding schools, and rights to land and water. So some brief history of the Sami people. In Norway, the Sami have their own parliament, which promotes political initiatives and manages missions and laws delegated to them by national authorities. As a political organ, the Samdigity work with issues they perceive as being of particular concern to the Sami people. There are several kinds of Sami based on their patterns of settlement and how they sustain themselves. Furthermore, their rights and general situation differ considerably depending on the nation-state within which they live. The Sami were recognized as an indigenous people in the Finnish constitution in 1995. The Sami have a right to maintain and develop their language and culture, as well as traditional livelihood. Since 1996, the Sami have had constitutional self-government concerning their language and culture in their homelands. Currently, there's not enough services provided for the Sami, and even those that are provided are inadequate. The Sami do not have secure land rights in Finland because 90% of the Finnish Sami belongs to the government. So some stuff on the Sami parliament. The Sami have a different standing than any other ethnic minorities in Sweden. The Sami are not immigrants, having lived in their settled areas long before the borders were drawn for today's nations. In 1997, the Swedish Parliament recognized the Sami as an indigenous people in Sweden. The Sami Parliament is both a publicly elected parliament and a state agency. One motive for the establishment of the Sami Parliament was to recognize the status of the Sami people as being indigenous peoples. The Sami were to participate in the political life. There was a need for a representative body for the entire Sami population. The investigation was completed in 1989, and one of the suggestions was to establish a popularly elected Sami body in Sweden. At the time, Finland had already had a Sami institution since 1973, and Norway inaugurated their Sami parliament in 1989. The Sami parliament in Sweden was inaugurated in 1993. The 31 members of the Sami parliament plenary assembly are appointed through general elections, held every fourth year. More than 8,000 of Samis presumed 20,000 to 35,000 Sami are now registered in the Sami Parliament electoral register. So some stuff about the linguistics or the language of the Sami people. Sami is a Finno-Ugric language that is most closely related to Finnish, Estonian, Livonian, and Votic, and several other little-known languages. While it varies from region to region, it does so based on the lifestyle of the Sami people, rather than on the national boundaries of the lands in which they live. One of the earliest linguistic legislations passed in Norway in 1892, school lessons were to be taught in the child's mother's tongue. In 1898, however, the government revised the earlier legislation to exclude children of Sami and Finnish origin. As a result, the Norwegian government enforced a policy of Norwegianization, an effort to completely assimilate the Sami into the modern culture. This included the forced adoption of the Norwegian language, as classes were taught strictly in Norwegian. A stipulation of that legislation. Sami children were forced to learn and use Norwegian by not being given an alternative, i.e., the Sami language, and often continued its use the rest of their lives. Having used the dominant language so much, many would simply teach it to their children, thus perpetuating the decline of the Sami tongue. So some stuff about the geographical areas of the Sami people. The geographical separation of Sami communities in Norway has mixed consequences. In southern Sami areas, where reindeer herding has become a more important cultural tool, there is little competition with Norwegian industry as a whole. In northern and coastal areas, the Sami are more dependent on Norwegian fishing and trading industries, and thus the Norwegian language itself. Southern Sami communities are more resistant, in a way, to outside social and economical pressures, and the language in these areas can be more easily maintained. The Sami live in a tundra, Arctic, or subarctic treeless plain, taiga, a subarctic forest, in coastal zones in the far north of Europe, spread out over 4 different countries. This includes Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Russia's Kola Peninsula. They live on coasts and islands warmed by the Gulf Stream, on plantations dotted by lakes and streams, and on forested mountains. Sami territory lies at latitudes about 62 degrees north, and much of it is above the Arctic Circle, with dark cold winters and warm light summers. It is often called the land of the midnight sun, because, depending on the latitude, the sun may be visible for up to 70 days and nights straight in the summer. The far north sees almost 3 months of continuous daylight. So I will also be talking about the reindeer rights and herding. The Sami lived and worked in so-called Sidat, reindeer herding groups, and reindeer were used for transport, milk, and meat production. The Sida is an ancient Sami community system within a designated area, but it can also be defined as a working partnership where the members had individual rights to resources but helped each other with the management of the herds, or when hunting and fishing occurred. The Sida could consist of several families and their herds. According to the new Norwegian Reindeer Herding Act from 2007, which regulates reindeer herding in Norway, only those who have the right to a reindeer earmark can conduct reindeer husbandry in the Sami reindeer herding area. The right to a reindeer earmark requires that the person is a Sami and themselves, their parents, or their grandparents have or had reindeer herding as their primary occupation. Sami are currently active in all business areas, with about 10% working in the field of reindeer husbandry. I will also talk about the rights to the land and water. Norway was the first country to ratify the protection of land rights pursuant to ILO Convention Number 169 concerning indigenous and tribal peoples in independent countries in 1990. However, they have interpreted the phrase ownership and possession narrowly and concluded that a protection right to use was also covered by the phrase. As a result of increased Sami activism, the controversial Finnmark Act of 2005 gave Sami and the population of Finnmark rights to the land and water in Finnmark, when about 95%, about 42,000 kilometers squared of the area in the Finnmark country was transferred to the inhabitants of the county. In Finland, the Sami do not have secure land rights because 90% of the Finnish Sami land belongs to the government. Finland was not ratified ILO Convention number 169, which makes the land rights issue more challenging to handle. According to Martin Schwenning, a professor at the Abo Akaru in Turku, Finland, the Sami way of life is threatened by the competing uses of land in the government. If the government decides to cut down forests in the reindeer herding area, it destroys the pastoral areas. The International Labour Organization, which is the ILO Convention 169, did not create any new land rights, but places demands on that those land rights that exist shall be recognized and respected, and that the Sami reindeer husbandry right is to be respected in an equal manner as other land rights in Sami. So this is Per Mikael, president of the board Swedish of the Sami parliament, and I like his quote that he said here. We are the Sami people, and we want to be Sami, without being neither more nor less than other people in the world. We have throughout the history survived and lived in Sami, and have a culture that we want to continue to thrive. And here is my works cited paper.